Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So you guys know the drill. Now, I want you to pray for me by singing along, gesturing, and leaving a dislike on this video. I tend to do very well when I get a lot of dislikes on my videos. I had a video that had about 8 dislikes last week, and I went to an event and I had a good conversation with a girl. Although there's a little bit of a dilemma with that. I'll get to that in a moment. But why don't you guys sing along, gesture along, and leave a dislike on this video? Let's do it again. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So thank you guys for praying for me. The reason I want you guys to pray for me. Today is August 4th, 2024. We're coming up to a big anniversary of mine. Back in the middle of August of 2022, I was working at a tutoring center. I was not having the best time of my life. I really loved all of my students. I've never had a student that made me want to quit the job or cause trouble at work. But I had toxic managers and colleagues for sure, and just people who didn't have good direction. I can't tell you how many times I felt like I could never get things right at the tutoring center. One day, my boss would say, do things this way. And then the very next day, he would say that was the wrong way to do it. Or I would get all these toxic schedules, right? So at that center, I was one of the few people at that stage in life who was single, and so people didn't beat at the same wavelength as I did, right? So I would often get schedules that had gaps in them, or on a week that I would otherwise have free, I would get 2 hours on a Monday and then another 3 hours on another day, and I wouldn't be able to go to Ellensburg, which is where my favorite vacation destination. Although ever since moving to Phoenix, I haven't been able to go out of town very easily either because Phoenix is just way out there compared to all the other good destinations. So it's a mixed bag. But I really got along with all of the students. And I distinctly remember one student that I got along with very well. He was studying AP chemistry. And so one day while working with him, he had this periodic table that had a lot of great information on it for each element, how rare it was in the Earth's crust, when it was discovered, some history, who discovered it, among other things, if I remember correctly. And what really caught my attention was the rarity of the elements. I was just about to show my student how cheap a buying opportunity platinum is because it is rarer than gold. I was just about to show him on his periodic table. And when I looked, I couldn't believe my eyes. That entire sixth period of that period, I didn't realize how rare all the elements on the sixth period are. The only real common element on the sixth period is lead, and that's because everything that used to be heavier than lead that was on Earth decayed into lead. Right? Everything else on the sixth period is pretty rare, but especially bismuth because of how cheap it is as well, right? And so I was showing my student platinum and maybe buy some bismuth as well. Now, I think that's how I presented it at the time. I was emphasizing platinum, if you can believe that, at the time. And I went home and read more about bismuth and to discover how cheap it was. I knew it was cheap. I didn't realize how cheap it was. I was thinking something on the level of silver because I knew people made crystals out of them. I couldn't imagine you being able to make crystals of any reasonable size if they were if bismuth were similar to gold prices, but silver prices maybe. But I went home and I discovered that bismuth was going for $7 a pound. and it was only twice as common as gold. So that first day after that tutoring session, I ordered 10 pounds of Bismuth. I wasn't thinking about making art out of it. I was living out of my car after all at this time in my life. And so that was that. And then a few days later, the Bismuth came. Now, at the tutoring center where I was working, I was often, here's the other aspect of that toxic job. I often didn't get a whole lot of exercise. I would sit down at my desk and that would be it for 5, 6, 7, sometimes 8 or more hours in a row. And I didn't like that. And so I took that 10-pound bar of Bismuth to my desk to lift weights when I was working with the student. And the student that I was showing the platinum and the Bismuth with came and I showed him, look what I bought. He thought it was platinum. It was Bismuth. And I said, now I can exercise at my desk, and I have something that's almost as rare as gold and real cheap today. Maybe this will be my retirement fund. And so that was that. And then not long after that, the curiosity got the better of me in terms of making the crystals. And I was living in my car, but I had a favorite parking spot where people charged their electric cars. And I had an adapter because I often wanted to use my laptop at the parking spot. And so I decided to go there to make some crystals. You guys remember the first couple of crystals that I made. And so, long story short, I quickly found my calling. Next thing I knew, I was going to art shows. Unfortunately, the victory was bittersweet. Lately, I've been busy out of my mind. I alluded to this yesterday in my podcast. You may notice that every time I record a Peter Dislike show, I'm often stuck in a corner at my apartment, or I'm focusing in on my art and not really showing you guys the apartment, in large part because I've turned my apartment into a bismuth crystal factory, and I'm not proud of that. And unfortunately, I haven't had much of a social life either. To give you an idea of how badly my social life has looked like ever since moving to Phoenix, I teach at, I'm going to be teaching at, which campus was that? Can't even remember. Glendale Community College. That's how stressed out I can't even remember the campus I'm going to be teaching at in 2 weeks from now. Glendale. And as I was getting ready to sign that contract, I hesitated because I realized I don't have too many friends here in the Phoenix area. It's August. Why am I not going on vacation when I don't have a whole lot of friends here in Phoenix? Well, because the few friends that I do have, I don't even want to miss one event with them. And so I got this big conundrum on my hands. And then the thing that might free me from my career is causing a mess in my apartment. And half the time I feel like I'm going to get evicted for creating such a mess. And so it didn't feel like that when I first began my bismuth art career. I certainly didn't dread going home to do it. I certainly didn't almost get myself evicted from doing it. Even when I was living in that parking spot, I made a lot of friends there. One day, somebody walked by and thought I was cooking crystal meth, and to ask me how much meth is going for. He has a friend who needs it for a medical condition or something like that. And not necessarily the best friend in the world you can have, but even that brief 5-second conversation gave me a good feeling that I had connectivity in my life, right? And unfortunately, these last couple of months, maybe half a year, everything has gone downhill with it's certainly I'm making money from it, but everything other than money has gone downhill for me. And that's why I want you to pray for me. I want you to put that spark back in my bismuth career. I don't know why it has turned out this way over the last 6 months. It didn't feel like that at the beginning of my career. And then just earlier this week, I was thinking about asking this girl out on a date. And unfortunately, I didn't. And the reason I didn't was because I really need that. I can't afford to lose what little connection I have with that girl. And also, the other reason I didn't ask is because I want to make sure Phoenix is going to be where I hold my forever career, right? Whether it be at the community college or with my bismuth art, right? And so, unfortunately, the fact that I don't know where my career is making it very difficult for me to form my social connections, and vice versa, right? The fact that I don't know if my social connections are here in Phoenix is making me hesitate on my career, on signing the contracts, on committing to art shows, on where I live. That's why I live with roommates and almost got myself evicted with the mess with the Bismuth art. And so maybe I just need to take more risk and just do it, right? Even if I don't have all the pieces in place. That's what I've been thinking of these last couple of days. Anyways, you guys know the drill. I need your prayers now. Please pray for me by singing along with me, gesturing, and leaving a dislike on this video. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.